Welcome to Begin, Build, Blossom, your business journey with Clarita, the podcast where we will discuss valuable insights, resources, and motivation to fuel your entrepreneurial spirit. Let's build a supportive community together. Subscribe now to Begin, Build, Blossom, and let's embark on your business journey. Let's pause for a moment to hear from our sponsors. You've built a name for yourself through hard work and dedication, but does managing the business side feel like a distraction from your true passion? Are you dealing with unmanaged finances? CME Accounting LLC is here to help. We specialize in organizing your financial records, allowing you to focus on what you do best. With organized books, you'll have more time for what inspires you, whether that's expanding your influence, building relationships, or simply enjoying life. Don't let unmanaged finances hold you back. Reach out to CME Accounting LLC today and let us help you thrive. Visit our website www.cmeaccountingllc.com or email us at admin@cmeaccountingllc.com. All right, let's jump back into our conversation. Welcome to another episode of our podcast, Begin, Build, Blossom. Today, we're talking with someone who knows how to make every gathering feel special. Meet Celeste, an elementary school teacher turned entrepreneur and the creative mind behind the Cozy Cup. With over 2 decades of experience working with children and parents, Celeste brings the same warmth and dedication she's known for in the classroom to her business. As a parent who's planned her fair share of parties, Celeste understands the importance of hosting a fun, relaxed, and well thought out event. That's exactly what the Cozy Cup is all about, helping you sit back, enjoy, and be a guest at your own party. Get ready to hear how Celeste turned her love for connection and creativity into an exquisite experience that's sure to leave a lasting impression. Let's dive in. I met Celeste recently at the Cozy Cup. My daughter actually got invited to a tea party with her best friend, and I was so happy to be there. Our daughter, meaning the family that invited us, they enjoyed the tea party, and us as the parents got an opportunity to enjoy the experience as well. So it was very amazing. Thank you, Celeste, for creating such an amazing experience. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Clarita. I'm so happy that you and your daughter and friends had such a great experience. It really warms my heart.
Thank you. And actually earlier, Celeste and I were talking and my daughter was there. And she said, oh yeah, the Cozy Cup. So she remembered the name and she said how beautiful the place was, how amazing an experience she had. So I'm really glad that she got that experience.
That's wonderful because kids are so honest.
Yes, they are. So if they say it, you know it's true.
That was a good review.
Yes, for sure. So we're going to cover your business journey and we're going to get started with a segment we call Rapid Fire. And in that segment, we try to get quick responses, but that doesn't always happen. So no pressure. Okay, so let's get to know you a little bit. Tell us 2 words that describe you. One that described you as a child and one that describes you now.
So as a child, I'm going to say I was very quiet. So that's the word that would describe me as a child. Like some people, like the teachers, I'm a teacher myself now and I could see why they would do that. But when I was a kid, the teachers would tell my mom that they thought that I wasn't learning because I was always so quiet. But then when they would ask, I would know the answer. And then now as an adult, I would say I'm less quiet, even though I do feel that I'm a little shy. But I am very, say, like curious to learn, to find out more, to see different sides of a situation. So I think that being a quiet kid made me a good observer. And then now as an adult, I'm curious. I'm still an observer, but like now I'm like nosy, like curious to find out more.
All right. Thanks so much for sharing that with us. And we went through that during the introduction, but let's just hear it from you. What is the name of your business and what do you do in business?
Yeah. So the name of my business is The Cozy Cup, and we are a modern tea room. So people come in to have afternoon teas. We also offer other experiences like cookie decorating, tea tasting. We also have bento cake decorating, and some people just come in to have a scone and tea or coffee or matcha. We also have our afternoon twist with a Latino twist. So, yes, we do have scones and little bites like macarons and of course the tea, but we include empanadas and chicken croquettes, which are very common from where I come from, the Dominican Republic.
Great. And I enjoyed all of those when I was there. So I can say it was good. And I liked when I saw that you also do this bento. Is it bento cake you call it?
Yeah, bento cake. So it's just like a small cake and customers come in, they just have free liberty to just go ahead and decorate, become creative, decorate the cake as they will.
Yes, because in my past life, not so
Ooh,
recent past life, I actually really enjoyed cake decorating. And I kind of went away from it after I had my daughter because it's very time consuming and I had to get rid of all my tools since I moved across country. So I have not had the opportunity to do that in a long time. So when I saw that, I was thinking I'm going to come by and get my cake decorating skills back, into work.
that's great.
Yes. Okay. And are you doing this full time or part time?
So part-time because I'm actually a full-time fourth grade teacher.
Oh, wow. Wow. So I hope we get to talk about that a little bit more. So before you started, you were a teacher and you're still a teacher.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And how long have you been in business?
So with the Cozy Cup, I started in 2017, but it wasn't a brick and mortar location like it is now. The brick and mortar we started 3 months ago. So that was September 2024.
Congratulations. That's amazing. Yes. And I'd love to learn more about how you operated before you had the brick and mortar. So we'll touch on that for sure. And what's one of the highest highs or the best moments you've had in business so far?
Honestly, there's been a few, but it's when people have nice memory attached to the Cozy Cup and either they connect with me through Instagram and they say, oh, I remember when I had or when you hosted my mom's 80th birthday, we had a tea party for her. Or when my daughter turned 5 and you hosted a tea party for her and she still talks about it to this day and she's like 10.
Right.
There's been a few of those, a handful of those that really show me that it's beyond a business, that it's actually the Cozy Cup slowly is becoming like a part of people's lives, that it's marking like experiences in people. So those have been like definitely ups for me.
Right. Yes, I can just see all those beautiful memories. That's what we really get to keep with us. So to be part of creating those memories must be amazing.
Yeah.
Yes. And on the flip side of that, what would you say is one of the lowest lows that you've had?
Wow. Opening the shop, like the brick and mortar, that was really a tough, challenging time because there's so many permits that are needed and so many requirements. So it was very challenging. There were times where I always tell my husband, like, I don't know if this is worth it, but there was always like that desire in my heart and that like constant thought about like, no, you have to go through with it. That kept me motivated to keep going. But having a whole year, because I got the place in a year before I actually opened, but I had to meet all of these requirements to be actually able to open. So that was a challenge.
Oh, wow. When you say you got the place, do you mean you're actually paying to have that place for a year before you actually have money coming in?
Yes. So I saw the place. I loved it. Everything was like going fast, working out. Everything was falling into place. And then, I got the place and I even negotiated with the landlord and he gave me 3 months. Actually, it ended up being 4 months rent free while I got situated. But there were so many requirements from the city where my shop is located. And then, I also had to meet the health code, and being new to an area, to a sector, like makes things even more challenging. And then also coming from a background like myself, like I didn't have anyone in my family who had done this before. There are no real like entrepreneurs in my family. I really didn't have anyone who would, necessarily guide me through the process unless I was paying, so, and on a teacher's salary, it's difficult. So yes, I had the place and I was paying for a whole year before I actually was able to open.
Wow, wow. Thanks for sharing that with us. Really appreciate that. Okay. And is there a book or movie you'd recommend?
So like I said, I'm a fourth grade teacher, so I'm always reading like little kid books. So I'm not
Mm-hmm.
going to recommend a little kid book, but a movie that I really love for many reasons is Slumdog Millionaire. That came out like many years ago. I just love the whole Cinderella story. You're going from rags to riches. Like I love that. And then another book that now, like as I'm speaking, kind of has like a similar theme is Becoming by Michelle Obama. It really shows how a little girl from the South Side of Chicago became the first lady of the United States. And the whole like thread in her book is kind of like that you have to pass on the legacy. So like she went back and said like her great grandparents were slaves. And then now that great granddaughter was living in the White House as the first lady of the United States, and not letting go of kind of like that, kind of like a relay race, not letting go of that baton, like from one generation to the next. And that's something that I constantly tell my students, even though they're fourth graders. I'm like, you guys, you have to be better than whoever came before you. And my daughter, who's about to enter college, she's a senior in high school. And so I'm like, when you feel unmotivated, like think about the women, the people that came before you. And so those are two that are very meaningful.
Thank you so much. And when you were talking about becoming, I actually got goosebumps because I read that book as well, and I feel the same way that you do. And hearing you speak, I'm thinking of my mom and my daughter who are actually here with me right now, and how my mom, a lot of what she did prepared me for where I am. And then hopefully what I am doing now will really inspire my daughter. And I just try so hard to make sure I build that foundation for her. And it's interesting because one of the jokes we made while we were at your place was one of the parents kept saying, my daughter says, welcome to my podcast.
Your daughter says that?
Yes.
I love it.
So when she
Yes.
speaks to people now, she's basically acting as if she's on some podcast. So now she's 4. She's now interviewing people. And sometimes I don't realize she's actually watching. She knows the name of my podcast. I didn't know that she does, she knows that. And she says things. She mentions my voice, like she's actually paying attention. So it's just so amazing what we create for those who come after us. And Michelle Obama is definitely a great example of that. We stand on the backs of so many others who came
Awesome.
before us. Yeah. So thanks for reminding me of that movie.
Yeah.
I saw it way back then and I had forgotten about it, and for that book. All right. So that takes us nicely to the begin segment. So tell us a little bit about, was there a time growing up where you thought you were going to be an entrepreneur, or is that something that happened later for you? And just kind of walk us through that.
Yeah. So growing up, I never thought I would be an entrepreneur. I never thought I even was going to be a teacher, to be honest. I wanted to be a doctor. And the reason I think now that I'm an adult is I'm a person who likes to serve, right? To serve others, to help. But when I was a child, when I was 9 years old, my parents sent me to the Dominican Republic for the summer. And there I spent the whole summer with my grandma, and she introduced me to tea. Like I remember the first morning when I woke up, she made a grilled cheese sandwich. And mind you, this is the early like 90s in the Caribbean, the Dominican Republic. So the grilled cheese is like the sandwich with the cheese, but one pan over another, like on the stove. but it's so delicious. And then she made me this warm, delicious drink that I was like, what is this? And it was my introduction to tea. So the teas that she made for me that whole summer, they were all herbal teas and they were so delicious. And even though I didn't know at that time that I would one day be an entrepreneur, I knew that tea was going to be something very important to my life because during those moments with my grandma, I got to sit on a rocking chair with her in the front porch of her house. And she would just tell me stories of when she was young and when my mother was young and how she met my grandpa. So I knew that like tea was going to be special because it was that bond that I had created with my grandma.
Yeah, and you've actually extended that now where you bring people together. You give people that opportunity to have those moments with each other. Wow, that's amazing. And is that where the name came from?
So yes, because so I wanted a name that would be inviting, that would like create like warmth and also a name that would be memorable. So the cozy cup came about. I was explaining to someone the other day how I drink coffee too, but the main difference between coffee and tea, at least for me, is that with coffee, like I'm on the run. You know, we serve coffee here too, by the way, like really delicious coffee. But I feel that coffee makes you like, I gotta run, I gotta go to work, I gotta go to school. But with tea, it kind of like forces you to pause, to like either have a conversation with others or not. As I said, when I was growing up, I was very quiet. So I used to write a lot. I used to write poetry, and tea kind of like makes me want to do that. So just kind of like be with myself, like the whole self-care thing, like again, it makes me want to write. So that's another reason why I thought the cozy cup would be a great name for the.
Yes, I love the name and it is very cozy. So definitely achieve that there. And in terms of the business, it sounds like you started the business before you had the brick and mortar. So tell us a little bit about that journey for you.
Yeah. So when I was in college, that's when I decided that I had like this desire to one day have a tea shop, but it was always in the back of my mind. So once my daughter was born, she on her own would have like tea parties and like, like with her dolls and stuff. And I thought it was so cute. And I was like, this is what I want to do. In 2017, I joined, it's a nonprofit. It's called WETC here in Westchester. It stands for the Women Empowerment Development Center, I think. WETC, WEDC. And so they have a course on entrepreneurship for women. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to take this and see how it goes and see if this is something that I can actually do. And I wanted to open a tea room from the beginning. But when I took the course, I realized that no. You can't jump into things so fast. So rather than opening the shop, I had a traveling tea party, like a mobile tea party.
Ah,
So, and I worked with like mentors there. The instructors were really good. Again, this is back in 2017, and they were like, yeah, that's a great idea. So I started doing tea parties for my friends' kids. And then it went well. And then I decided to get an LLC for the traveling tea party business. And then I took it from there. So I started doing tea parties for, people, for sororities, for little girls, for grandmas who are turning 80 or 90, for bridal showers, a lot of those. But it was at the venue that they had chosen.
okay. And is that something that you still do?
So right now, because it's been a lot to open the brick and mortar, to open the shop, I have stopped doing that, but it will be something that we will continue doing for sure. Because a lot of people have asked. So yeah, that's something that we will continue to do.
Okay, all right. And I know you talked a little bit about the transition, that it was challenging, but it sounds like it's working out okay now.
Yeah, I mean, it's still a challenge because although I was doing the traveling tea party, this is different because you're dealing with people on demand. With the traveling tea party, you like really plan out your events, you sit with the clients and so on, but this is like whoever walks in. But it's been great. I love it.
That's great. And do you remember the first client that walked through your doors?
So we had a soft opening, right? So it was just for like friends and family. But I remember afterwards I got Open Table, which is a platform where people can, make reservations. And the first time that I saw that someone actually was reserving a spot to come to my place, it was like Christmas. I was so happy. So yeah, so I remember that it was a woman and I a partner. They came and they reserved for afternoon tea. And it's funny because when they came in, I was like, in the back of my mind, I was like, are you sure? Like this is where you like really want to go to?
Oh,
So yeah, I still remember that day, especially on the platform when I read reservation.
let's pause for a moment to hear from our sponsors. You've built a name for yourself through hard work and dedication, but does managing the business side feel like a distraction from your true passion? Are you dealing with unmanaged finances? CME Accounting LLC is here to help. We specialize in organizing your financial records, allowing you to focus on what you do best. With organized books, you'll have more time for what inspires you. Whether that's expanding your influence, building relationships, or simply enjoying life. Don't let unmanaged finances hold you back. Reach out to CME Accounting LLC today and let us help you thrive. Visit our website www.cmeaccountingllc.com or email us at admin@cmeaccountingllc.com. All right, let's jump back into our conversation. Right. Yes. Oh, wow. Yes, I'm sure that that would be very exciting. So, wow. Okay, so let's move on to the bill segment. I like in this segment to ask about the boldest move that you've made. So, I would say, from what I've heard, it was opening the brick and mortar. Would you agree?
Absolutely. The boldest move I've ever made in my whole entire life.
Do you remember the feelings attached to that when you like actually deciding, okay, I am going to do that?
Yeah. So I'm a person of faith. Everything I do, like I pray over. When I came across the place and it was like online and I asked an inquiry and like I said earlier, and things were just moving, moving, moving. I remember asking God, I was like, this is not for me. Like you have to like remove it. But no matter what, like everything was just like falling into place. Like the landlord was so accommodating. It happened like right when I was ending the school year and I had time to like give the business to make the build out, in other words, to do the walls and to do everything else. So I was taking that like as a big confirmation from that I should continue with what I was thinking, but I was super scared the whole time. And but I did it anyway, even while scared.
Yes. And I almost feel like that in itself is scary, but it's also to me a sign that you're doing something that you should continue because it's new territory. There, I don't know. There's something about being scared that tells me, okay, maybe I should do this because you're kind of coming out of your comfort zone too.
Right.
And it matters to you, which is why you're scared as well. Okay. And what does team look like for you?
My team,
Mm-hmm.
I love them. I can't, like, it's funny. I joke all the time. I'm like, I trained you guys to do everything. Yet if you guys are not here, I don't know how to do anything. They are amazing. So so my daughter's my barista and she is a great asset to the Cozy Cup for many reasons. She was there from day one, so she knows how much this means to me and she really tries to, just give it her all. And she's a self-trained barista. So it's like a lot of YouTube videos. She's 17. So the fact that she like goes on YouTube on her own and other platforms to try to figure out how to make the best drinks, it's really amazing. And then I have my manager and Oriana, and she's my right hand person. Like she could run this with her eyes closed and her hands tied behind her back. She's really amazing at, just the administrative part of the Cozy Cup. And the other employees that I have are also very crucial. They are my daughter's friends from high school, and they are just so welcoming towards the customers. And, we just really work so well as a team, which I think is so crucial, that it's become more than just employees and, let's say, an owner, but more like a family.
That's great. It's nice. And I'm sure it's very special to have your daughter working with you.
Oh, yes.
And you mentioned that you have a manager. So it sounds like you've really recognized that delegation is very important, and you actually do that. So you have people that you delegate tasks to. And how does any advice you'd give to other entrepreneurs when it comes to that?
Absolutely. Something that I learned, that I have been learning since when I did the traveling tea party, I would do everything. I still do a bulk of the work here, but it's more behind the scenes, right? But I think it's so important, especially as a service business, to be able to remove yourself slowly so that if you need to step out, the business will run itself. When you sell a product, you don't really necessarily need a face, right? You could just sell, sell online. But when it's a service, people expect people, right? So you want to make sure that you hire people that are going to be the face of your business, that you can trust, that are just like people that like people and that take their job diligently and seriously. And also I feel that when you delegate like specific tasks, people become experts at that. And so it's better to be an expert of one task rather than trying to master every part of the business. So when it's just yourself, you might miss loose ends here and there. But when you have someone delegated for each task, those people can also hold you, the owner, accountable. So, that's like my best advice for someone who's going to be in the service industry, to make sure that you have someone or people or a team that can step in so that you can.
I love that. Definitely something I'm learning myself. So yes, thanks for sharing that. And when you said the face, it dawned on me, like events, maybe networking. What does that look like for you? Because I'm thinking sometimes the shop would be open while you're out there representing the Cozy Cup. So maybe tell us a little bit about that experience.
So what I mean by that is, for my team to be the face of the company, is that they share the same values of the company as I do. And so that actually has to come from me, like sharing my vision and my mission with them, so that if, let's say, I have to go to a networking event, or if I have to, perhaps in the near future, do a party at a venue, right? That they are there taking care of the business just as I would. So they are the ambassador in a way of the Cozy Cup.
Right, right. And what does networking look like for you? What kind of networking have you been involved in?
Recently, because I've been so busy with opening the shop, I haven't participated in a lot of networking activities, but that organization, Wetsy, they always have networking opportunities. So for instance, last summer, they had a networking event, and it's not like a huge gala or anything. I mean, although they do have that, but where, people come together. We went to another alumni's, they have an ice cream shop. So we went there and we were just talking about what's going well, what we need help in. And that was great for me to go there because I had 1,000,001 questions about how they opened their brick and mortar. So I do that. I also, used to do pop-up events. So I would bring my teas and sell there. And so you meet other vendors. And as a matter of fact, the Cozy Cup here, all of our menu is curated. So we have different vendors that sell me their products. And those people I've met through different events. So like through pop-ups where they were vendors there as well, or through Wetsy where I met them, like we were in the same class or something like that. So that's how I'm able to trust other people, other entrepreneurs, because I know that I met them somewhere, so I feel like it's been a lifesaver for me as well.
Right, that's great. And how do you manage being a full-time teacher and also having a brick and mortar?
It's difficult. It is really, really difficult. But I would say that my experience as a teacher has taught me so much. Like, this is very, like, my own personal opinion, what I'm about to say, but I feel like if you've ever taught in a classroom, like you could do anything because you are confronted with so many things every day, 1 minute to the other, right? So, and given that I've been teaching for 21 years, like there's some things that now just come second nature to me. Also having a great support group. So my husband is so supportive. My daughter, of course, my team here at the Cozy Cup. And I work with another teacher. So we're co-teachers. So my class is a ICT class, is a integrative co-teaching class, meaning that most of our, not like a percentage of our students are special education students and the rest are general education students. So knowing that I have that trust and that there's another teacher there that I can rely on has been so, so helpful. So having a great support group and also time management, like knowing that, okay, from this time to this time, I am going to dedicate to like grading paper, or while I'm at work, rather than scrolling on my phone during lunchtime, I am going to grade some paper so that when I get home, I could relax. And just having a good work-life balance, that to me has been the most helpful.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. And I know we talked a little bit about struggles. Is there any one struggle other than I know we already talked about, the difficulties that come with actually opening up a brick and mortar? Is there anything else you'd like to highlight?
Yeah. So like personally, last year, 2024 was definitely a year of ups and downs. So I had success opening, my store, which was a dream of mine, but there was also a lot of struggles. So for instance, like my mom, she has Alzheimer's and I'm her only child. So being her caretaker, like it was like a whole struggle trying to get like care for her, like 24-hour care. But like I mentioned earlier, I'm a person of faith and God is so good, and people were placed in my path that were able to help me get her the care that she needs. And so now she does have like 24-hour care, but dealing with success at the same time as I'm watching like my mom, who's always been like a strong woman, kind of like lose herself in her illness has been very difficult. Being able to, even though I have brought her here, but, not being able to really fully share my success with her. Although, I still am struggling big time with the shop, but like being able to be like, look, mom, like I was able to do this. That has been such a like juxtaposition, such a struggle of like success and like defeat in a way. But again, like I just hold on to my faith and I hold on to the fact that I am so close because she's, still around with my mom regardless that. So like this year, for example, I participated in the Alzheimer's walk. And it says like, one of the sayings was like the brain forgets, but the heart always remembers. that even though she might not know exactly, she might not be able to share fully in my journey. I know that she feels happy when she sees me. And I know that she like that love connection between us is still there.
I relate to what you're saying because my mom actually had a health scare recently. Like that was just something I kept thinking about. I want her to be there to share all these experiences with me, and especially I feel like, I am at a good place. So I definitely want her to be part of that. So I understand what you're saying. And as entrepreneurs, we cannot really separate the personal and the business. What happens, even as employees, you can't, but there's something about being an entrepreneur, it's closer to home. So those two lives, they come together. So, I totally get what you're saying. And I really hope that, you get to spend a lot of time with your mom and you can continue to have wonderful memories with her. That takes us to the Blossom segment. I know you mentioned success when we were talking just now. So tell us a little bit more about what success means to you.
Honestly, success to me comes in many forms. First and foremost is being happy, being joyful, like having a good mental state. That to me is being successful, knowing that I can provide for my family and I can save for my future. That to me is is success. And then I have like an ultimate dream of success. And that's to one day like be able to just like travel but with the travel is just spending quality time with my loved ones. Like I can picture, I always share this with my daughter. She's like, oh, mom, but I can picture, one day, like when she's an adult, married, let's say with her partner and her kids, my husband and maybe their extended family, like just spending quality time and not worrying about, let's say, money. That to me is success. I grew up in the indictment projects in Upper Manhattan. We didn't have very much and I was always very happy, but there was like, I never saw like my parents not work. Like I never saw them necessarily take a vacation where they relax. They had to work into their very, very old age, even past retirement, to be able to keep up with bills and things like that. And, they never did it with with an angry like disposition. They were always very joyful and very happy, but they didn't get to enjoy the fruits of their labor. So ultimately success will be when I can do that, when I can enjoy the fruits of my labor. But on the day to day is like being able to wake up, being able to like provide is like the daily success for me.
All right. Thanks so much for sharing that with us. I really love just listening to you because it's very, very inspiring, all that you're sharing. So thanks so much for taking the time to share with us. That takes us nicely again to the closeout segment. And here we like to find out if there are maybe 3 practical tips you'd like to share with, let's think of someone who's probably looking to start a business as well, or someone who's already in business and maybe they're thinking about that next bold step, or they maybe need a little bit of motivation to keep going. Let's talk to those people and maybe just share 3 tips that you would like them to keep in mind.
Yeah. So the first tip would be to test whatever it is that their business is. So like if it's a service business or an event planning business or a product, test it out, test it with friends, test it with family, see if people would, consume that. Then I would say research. There's so many, organizations that, help entrepreneurs out there. It's just a matter of like researching and finding them. And if not, just, we have like YouTube University, like, and TikTok, or, you could just type in whatever and you get all these answers. So research your market, research your demographic. So who your consumers, like who are you who's gonna buy your product or your service? And finally, I would say, which I kind of mentioned earlier, network. Get to know people who are in your field and people who are not in your field, because you just will never know when you might need to call that person for help. I mean, I have had to call people who are carpenters. Like, I am not in that field at all, but I've had to call them when I was, building out the shop. So it's nice to have a nice team network of people who are similar and different from what you do to move your business forward. So those three things. So test your product or service, research, and network.
Great. Thank you so much. And network, we try to encourage networking here by connecting guests like yourself with listeners who are listening to you now. So would you be open to sharing time with someone like this if they reach out to you and say, let's connect, let's have a conversation? Are you open to that?
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. So listeners, Celeste is very open to you reaching out. So please go ahead and do so. And can you tell us the best ways to reach you?
I'm always on Instagram. So we are the Cozy Cup _NY. Also our website, which is www.thecozycupnyc.com. You can find my email there and reach out to me that way. And those are the best ways to reach me. But mostly I would say Instagram.
Okay. Well, great. Thank you so much for sharing with us, for being with us, and for being open to networking with others. At this time, I'd just like to say thank you again. I know I've said thank you many times, but I'm just so appreciative. So we look forward to keeping in touch as you build. We hope to have you on again. And we also have a program we call Spotlight, where we spotlight things that guests are doing in the moment. So if you have an event coming up, be sure to check in with us and we'd be happy to highlight that. So wishing you all the best and have a good one.
Thank you so much, Clarita. It was an amazing experience. A little hesitant and shy, but you made me feel so comfortable. And thank you for what you're doing for entrepreneurs. It really means a lot.
Thank you so much. Thanks for listening to this episode of Begin, Build, Blossom, Your Business Journey, a CME Accounting LLC podcast. Please subscribe and be on the lookout for our next episode. If you'd like to share any feedback with us, please email us at podcast@cmeaccountingllc.com.